If you have these three things in your home right now, you're wealthier than your bank account will ever show you. I'm not talking about expensive furniture or fancy gadgets. I'm talking about three silent indicators that the wealthiest families in history learned to recognize as proof that real abundance was already present, invisible to most people, but ready to multiply the moment you stop overlooking it. Most people look at their home and see what's missing. What you're about to learn will change that forever. What if I told you that the wealthiest Jewish families who built empires that lasted for centuries, families whose wealth survived wars, persecutions, economic collapses, and generational transitions, did not measure their prosperity the way you were taught to measure it? They did not look at their bank statements first. They did not calculate their net worth in gold or property or investments. They looked at their homes, their ordinary, everyday homes, and they identified three specific signs, three tangible markers that told them with absolute certainty that the foundation of real abundance was already active in their lives, waiting to be recognized, waiting to be honored, waiting to multiply. And here's what shakes people to their core when they first hear this. These three signs are not rare. They are not expensive. They are not reserved for the privileged or the lucky. If you are watching this video right now, there is a strong chance you already have all three of them in your home at this very moment. You have been living on top of a wealth foundation without knowing it. You have been walking past the signs every single day, dismissing them as ordinary, taking them for granted, never understanding that the very thing you overlook is the thing the ancients understood as the activator of sustained prosperity. Most people look at their home and they see lack. They see the bills on the counter. They see the mortgage they are still paying. They see the furniture that needs replacing. They see what they do not have yet, what has not arrived yet, what they are still waiting for. And that focus, that trained focus on absence, on what is missing, on what is not enough, becomes a lens that blocks them from seeing the wealth that is already present. The Jewish families who built generational prosperity looked at their homes through completely different eyes. They had been trained through thousands of years of wisdom passed down from parent to child, from rabbi to student, from generation to generation, to see the signs of abundance that most people miss entirely. They saw preservation where others saw survival. They saw rest where others saw exhaustion. They saw connection where others saw routine. And when you learn to see what they saw, when you train your eyes to recognize these three silent indicators, something happens inside you that no amount of money in a bank account can produce. You stop feeling poor even when your circumstances have not changed yet. You stop chasing frantically because you realize you are already standing on solid ground. You stop living in the anxiety of not enough because you finally see that enough has been here all along, waiting for you to notice it, waiting for you to honor it, waiting for you to activate it through recognition. Before I reveal these three signs, go to the comment section and type these 4 words. I am ready now. And then hit the like button and subscribe to this channel, because what you are about to learn is the beginning of a reprogramming of how you see wealth, how you attract it, how you sustain it, and how you pass it on. Now let me take you into the reality that most of you are living right now, because I need you to know that I see you. I see the exhaustion. I see the weight you carry that no one else notices. You wake up every morning, and the first thing you do before you even get out of bed is run through the mental checklist of everything you owe, everything you need, everything that is not covered yet. You check your bank account, and you feel that sinking feeling in your chest when the number is lower than you hoped. You go to work, you do the job, you smile, you perform. But underneath it all, there is a quiet desperation that you do not talk about, because admitting it feels like failure. You have been taught that hard work leads to prosperity. You have been taught that if you just keep grinding, Keep hustling. Keep sacrificing. Eventually, the breakthrough will come. But you have been working hard for years now, maybe decades, and the breakthrough has not come. The bill collectors still call. The credit card balances still climb. The dream of financial freedom still feels like a fantasy reserved for other people, not for you. And here is what makes it worse. You are surrounded by messages every single day telling you that you are not doing enough. You need another side hustle. You need to invest smarter. You need to cut more expenses. You need to optimize, maximize, strategize, monetize. You are drowning in advice, drowning in methods, drowning in programs and courses and gurus promising you the secret formula, and yet nothing changes. You are more tired than you have ever been. You are more anxious than you have ever been. And deep down in a place you do not want to admit out loud, you are starting to lose hope. You are starting to believe that maybe prosperity is not meant for you. Maybe you missed your window. Maybe you were born into the wrong circumstances. Maybe the system is rigged and people like you just do not get a win. But here is what you do not know. Here is what they do not teach you in school, in church, in the marketplace, in the self-help seminars. Your struggle is not because you lack talent. It is not because you lack work ethic. It is not even because you lack opportunity. Your struggle is because you have been trained, systematically trained to look for wealth in the wrong places. You have been conditioned to measure prosperity by numbers on a screen, by the size of your house, by the brand of your car, by the balance in your retirement account. And as long as you keep measuring wealth that way, you will always feel poor because there will always be someone with more. There will always be a bigger number to chase. There will always be another level you have not reached yet. That system is designed to keep you running forever. It is designed to keep you feeling inadequate forever. It is designed to keep you distracted from the truth that the wealthiest families in history understood and you are about to learn. The truth is this: real wealth, sustainable wealth, generational wealth does not start with money. It starts with recognition. It starts with the ability to see what is already present in your life and treat it as sacred. The Jewish families who survived the destructions of empires, who rebuilt after losing everything, who passed prosperity from generation to generation, even when they were persecuted, even when they were exiled, even when their physical possessions were stripped away. Those families did not rely on external conditions for their sense of abundance. They carried the wealth inside them. They carried it in their ability to recognize the signs of divine provision, even in the smallest, most ordinary elements of daily life. And they taught their children to see the same signs. They taught them that a home with these three things was a home where the foundation of prosperity was already active, already working, already preparing to multiply. Let me take you back 3,000 years. Let me take you to a time when the Jewish people had just been delivered out of slavery in Egypt. They had spent 400 years in bondage, 400 years watching their children born into servitude, 400 years with no property, no freedom, no future. And then, through a series of miracles that shook the most powerful empire on earth, they were freed. They walked out of Egypt with nothing but the clothes on their backs and the instructions Moses brought down from Mount Sinai. No land, no wealth, no infrastructure, just a promise that if they followed the commandments, if they honored the covenant, they would be brought into a land flowing with milk and honey. But here's what most people miss when they read that story. The land flowing with milk and honey was not just a geographical location. It was a state of being. It was a way of seeing. It was a consciousness. And the commandments, the laws, the instructions given at Sinai were not arbitrary religious rules. They were the operating system for activating and sustaining that consciousness. One of the most mysterious commandments given to the Israelites was this: when you sit down to eat bread, you must have salt on your table, not optional, not a suggestion, a commandment. And the rabbis who studied this commandment for generations asked the obvious question: why? Why does God care whether you have salt on your table? What does salt have to do with prosperity, with holiness, with covenant? And the answer they found, the answer hidden in the layers of text and oral tradition, is this: salt is the physical representation of preservation. It is the substance that keeps what you have from rotting, from decaying, from being lost. In the ancient world before refrigeration, before modern storage salt, was the difference between surviving the winter and starving. A family with salt had power. A family without salt was vulnerable. But the deeper teaching, the mystical teaching, is that salt represents the spiritual principle of holding, of maintaining, of protecting what has been given to you so that it can multiply instead of disappear. When the Israelites were commanded to have salt on their table, they were being taught to recognize that preservation is the first step of prosperity. You cannot build wealth if you cannot hold what you have. You cannot multiply resources if they leak away faster than they come in. And the salt on the table was not just a symbol. It was an activator. Every time they ate, every time they reached for the salt, they were re-engaging with the principle of preservation, reminding themselves, training themselves that what they had was sacred, was protected, was enough to build on. Now bring that forward to your life today. Right now, at this very moment, you have salt in your home. You have salt in your kitchen, in your pantry, in the shaker, on your counter. You do not think about it. You do not honor it. You do not see it as anything more than a seasoning. But that salt, that ordinary, everyday salt, is the first sign that the foundation of prosperity is already present in your home. The families who built generational wealth knew this. They treated salt with reverence. They understood that having salt in the home meant they had the capacity to preserve what they earned, to protect what they built, to hold what they received long enough for it to grow. And they activated that capacity not through magic, not through superstition, but through intentional recognition. Here's what I want you to do this week. Every time you cook, every time you use salt, before you add it to your food, I want you to take that salt in your right hand. Hold it for 1 second, just 1 second, and in your mind speak this declaration. With this, I preserve what I have and I open the flow of what is coming. 1 second, one declaration. You are not praying to the salt. You are not worshiping the salt. You are using the salt as a physical anchor to remind yourself of a spiritual truth. You are training your brain, your heart, your consciousness to recognize that preservation is active in your life right now, that you have the capacity to hold what you receive, that you are not a leaking vessel, that what comes to you can stay with you and grow. And when you do this consistently, when you make this a practice, something shifts. You stop feeling like everything is slipping through your fingers. You stop living in the panic of not enough. You start to feel deep in your bones that you are standing on solid ground. Before I tell you the second sign, I need to give you something. For years, I have guarded the 3 most powerful secrets I found in the oldest texts of Jewish wisdom. The 3 principles that the most prosperous families passed down in silence, generation after generation, never written in books, never taught in public, only whispered from father to son, from mother to daughter, in moments when the world was not listening. I gathered those 3 secrets into a guide. I call it the 3 Jewish Secrets of Prosperity, and I am giving it to you completely free. No cost, no strings. Just go to the website I am about to show you on the screen and download it now while I continue. This guide will take you deeper than this video ever could. It will give you the prayers, the practices, the exact instructions that families used to build wealth that lasted for centuries. Go get it now and then come back, because what I am about to tell you next is the second sign. And it is one that most people completely overlook, even though it is the most powerful wealth asset you possess. The second sign is a bed where you sleep well. Not a luxury bed, not $1,000 mattress, not memory foam or adjustable frames or silk sheets. The bed where you sleep, the place where rest comes to you, even if it is just most nights, even if it is not perfect, even if you wake up once or twice. If you have a bed where sleep finds you, where your body can rest, where your mind can release, the day you have one of the most critical assets for sustained prosperity that exists. And I know what you are thinking. What does sleep have to do with money? What does my bed have to do with wealth? Everything. It has everything to do with wealth. And here is why. The Talmud teaches that sleep is 1/60th of the experience of the world to come. Not a metaphor, not poetry. A description of what actually happens when your body rests and your mind is freed from the limitations of waking consciousness. When you sleep, when you enter deep restorative sleep, your brain does something that it cannot do while you are awake. It consolidates the information you took in during the day. It processes experiences. It solves problems that your conscious mind could not solve. It makes connections between ideas that seemed unrelated. It downloads wisdom, insight, creativity, clarity. The person who sleeps well every night has access to a level of mental and emotional functioning that the person who does not sleep simply does not have. And that difference, that edge, shows up in every decision you make, every conversation you have, every opportunity you recognize or miss. The wealthiest families in history understood this. They understood that a rested mind makes better decisions than an exhausted mind. They understood that clarity is more valuable than hustle. They understood that the person who sleeps well can see opportunities that the sleep-deprived person walks right past without noticing. There are studies now, modern neuroscience studies, that confirm what the ancient rabbis taught 3,000 years ago. Sleep deprivation destroys your ability to regulate emotions. It destroys your ability to think long-term. It destroys your ability to resist impulses. It makes you reactive instead of strategic. It makes you desperate instead of patient. And desperation, reactivity, short-term thinking, those are the enemies of wealth building. Those are the patterns that keep people stuck in cycles of financial chaos, no matter how hard they work. If you have a bed where you can sleep tonight, you have one of the most powerful prosperity tools that exists. You have the ability to restore your body, to clear your mind, to access the wisdom that only comes in rest. And most people take this completely for granted. They scroll on their phones until midnight. They drink caffeine all day. They fill their minds with anxiety and noise and stimulation, and then they wonder why they cannot think clearly, why they make bad financial decisions, why they feel stuck. Your bed is not just furniture. Your bed is a wealth generator. It is the place where your brain resets, where your creativity refills, where the insights that lead to breakthroughs are born. Here is what I want you to do this week. Every night before you get into bed, I want you to place both hands on the mattress for 3 seconds. Just 3 seconds. And I want you to speak this declaration out loud or in your mind. This space is sacred. The rest I receive here makes me more capable tomorrow. I am grateful for this rest. 3 seconds every night for 7 days. You are not praying to the bed. You are not performing a ritual for luck. You are doing something far more powerful. You are retraining your brain to see rest as a form of wealth. You are honoring the gift of sleep. You are declaring that your body and mind deserve restoration. And when you do this, when you make rest sacred instead of something you squeeze in between distractions, your relationship with sleep changes. You start to protect it. You start to prioritize it. You start to recognize that the hours you spend in that bed are not wasted time. They are investment time. They are the time when your subconscious is working on problems your conscious mind could not solve. They are the time when divine wisdom, the insight that leads to the right decision at the right moment, downloads into your awareness. The third sign is the first living being that greets you when you come home. It does not matter who it is, your spouse, your child, a parent, a roommate, even a pet. The first living being that notices you walk through the door, that registers your presence, that is glad you are there. If you have that, if there is someone or something that receives you when you cross the threshold of your home, you have the most valuable asset for sustained long-term prosperity that exists. And this third sign is the one that people dismiss the most. They think it is sentimental. They think it is soft. They think it has nothing to do with money. But they are wrong. And I am going to show you why. The Talmud teaches that being received in your home is one of the essential blessings for prosperity. Not the money you have, not the property you own. The fact that there is someone who notices when you arrive, who acknowledges you, who is connected to you. That connection, that presence, that mutual recognition is exactly what modern research on long-term success and sustained prosperity identifies as the single most differentiating factor between people who thrive over decades and people who burn out, break down, or stay stuck. Not income, not education, not opportunity. Genuine relationships of connection and mutual care. Here is what the researchers found. The people who sustain wealth, who build it and keep it and pass it on, are not the people who work the most hours. They are not the people with the highest IQs. They are not the people with the most aggressive strategies. They are the people who have strong relational anchors. They are the people who come home to connection instead of isolation. They are the people who have someone who cares whether they made it back safely, who listens when they talk about their day, who grounds them when the world feels chaotic. That relational anchor does something that no amount of money can buy. It gives you emotional stability. It gives you a reason to build instead of just survive. It gives you perspective when you are tempted to make fear-based decisions. It reminds you that your worth is not tied to your productivity. It keeps you human in a world that wants to turn you into a machine. The families who built generational wealth understood this at a level most people today have completely lost. They understood that wealth without relationship is empty. They understood that prosperity without someone to share it with is meaningless. They understood that the person who is received with love when they come home, who has a living being that is glad they exist, that person has the foundation for a life of true abundance. Because abundance is not just about having more. It is about being seen, being known, being valued, being connected. And connection, real connection, is the soil in which every other form of prosperity grows. If you have someone or something that greets you when you walk through your door, you are wealthier than most people will ever be, even if they have 10 times the money you have. You have what money cannot buy. You have what success without soul destroys. You have the thing that makes prosperity sustainable instead of exhausting. And if you are taking it for granted, if you walk past that person or that pet without acknowledgement, without gratitude, without recognition, you are bleeding wealth every single day. Here is what I want you to do this week. When you come home, when that first person or pet greets you, I want you to stop. Do not walk past. Do not keep moving. Stop. Look directly at them. Make eye contact if it is a person, and say in your mind or out loud, if appropriate, this connection is real prosperity. I am grateful for this welcome. 1 second, 1 moment of full presence, 1 acknowledgement. Every time you come home for 7 days, you are retraining yourself to see connection as wealth. You are honoring the relationship instead of treating it as background noise. You are recognizing that the person or animal in front of you is not an interruption to your productivity. They are the reason your productivity matters. They are the anchor that keeps you sane. They are the mirror that reflects back to you that you are more than what you produce. 3 signs: salt in your kitchen, a bed where you sleep well, someone who greets you when you come home. If you have all 3, you are wealthier than your bank account will ever tell you. You have the 3 foundational pillars that Jewish tradition identified as the markers of real abundance. You have preservation. You have restoration. You have connection. Those 3 things, when recognized and honored, create a foundation that wealth can build on. Those 3 things, when ignored or taken for granted, create a foundation that cracks no matter how much money you pour on top of it. Now I want to tell you about Miriam. Miriam is a woman in her mid-50s who lives in Cleveland. 3 years ago, she was drowning in debt, drowning in exhaustion, drowning in the feeling that no matter how hard she worked, nothing ever got better. She had 2 jobs. She had no savings. She had credit cards maxed out. She had a teenage daughter who barely spoke to her because Miriam was always too tired, too stressed, too distracted to really be present. And Miriam came across a teaching very similar to what I just shared with you. She heard about the 3 signs, and at first she dismissed it. She thought, I do not need mystical wisdom. I need money. I need a raise. I need a miracle. But something inside her was desperate enough to try anything. So she started doing exactly what I just told you to do. Every time she cooked, she held the salt for 1 second and said the declaration. Every night before bed, she placed her hands on the mattress and honored the rest. Every time she came home and her daughter or her cat greeted her, she stopped, made eye contact, and said thank you in her mind. That was it. No elaborate rituals, no hours of meditation. Just 3 small practices, 3 moments of recognition woven into her ordinary daily life. And here's what happened. Within 2 weeks, Miriam started sleeping better. Not because the mattress changed, because she stopped scrolling her phone in bed. She stopped filling her mind with anxiety before sleep. She started treating rest as sacred, and her body responded. Within a month, she noticed she was making better decisions at work. Small decisions, tiny decisions, but they added up. She said no to an expense she would have normally justified. She spoke up in a meeting, and her idea got implemented. She noticed an opportunity she would have walked past before because she was too foggy to see it. Within 3 months, her relationship with her daughter shifted, not because Miriam became a different person, because she started being present for 10 seconds when her daughter walked in the room. And her daughter felt it. She felt seen. She felt valued. And she started opening up again. And that shift, that reconnection, gave Miriam a reason to keep going that money could never provide. Within 6 months, Miriam got an unexpected promotion at her primary job. Not because she worked harder. She was already working as hard as she could. Because she was sharper, clearer, more present, more strategic. The person who interviewed her for the new role later told her, "You seem different, more grounded. I knew I could trust you with responsibility." Within a year, Miriam had paid off half her credit card debt. Not through a windfall, not through a lottery win, through a series of small good decisions compounded over time, made possible because her brain was functioning at full capacity instead of running on fumes. Miriam did not become a millionaire. She did not quit her job and retire early, but she moved from chaos to stability, from desperation to breathing room, from isolation to connection. And she will tell you today without hesitation that those 3 practices, those 3 moments of recognition every day saved her life. Not because they were magic, because they trained her to see the wealth she already had and stop living like she had nothing. Some of you will hear this and call it coincidence. Some of you will say, Miriam would have figured it out anyway. Some of you will dismiss this as motivational fluff. But the people who are desperate enough, the people who are tired of spinning their wheels, the people who are ready to try something that the modern world does not teach, those people will do exactly what I just told you to do. They will hold the salt. They will honor the bed. They will acknowledge the greeting. And they will see within days, within weeks, that something inside them starts to shift. Not because the universe suddenly loves them more, because they stopped living blind, because they started seeing the wealth that was always there. Here is the prophetic word for someone watching right now. You have been praying for a breakthrough. You have been asking God, asking the universe, asking anyone who will listen to send you provision, to open a door, to give you a sign that things are going to get better. And you have been looking for that sign in the mail, in your phone, in your bank account. But the sign is already in your home. The answer is already present. You have salt. You have rest. You have someone who receives you. You have the 3 pillars of prosperity activated and waiting. The only thing missing is your recognition. The only thing blocking the flow is your blindness. And the moment you start doing what I just told you to do, the moment you start honoring what you have, instead of obsessing over what you lack, the floodgates that have been closed will begin to open. Not because you manipulated the universe, because you finally aligned yourself with the way prosperity actually works. Prosperity that is recognized and honored multiplies. Prosperity that is ignored and taken for granted shrinks. That is not a religious belief. That is a spiritual law. That is how consciousness works. That is how energy works. The families who built wealth that lasted for centuries understood this. They taught their children to see abundance in the ordinary. They taught them to treat the small things as sacred. They taught them that gratitude is not just an emotion. It is an activator. It is the frequency that tells the universe, I am ready for more, because I am honoring what I already have. So here is what I need you to do right now. Go to the comment section and type these words. I see my wealth now. Then share this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Share it with the person who is struggling, who is exhausted, who is on the edge of giving up. Because the knowledge that is shared always comes back multiplied. The wisdom that you give away always finds its way back to you in greater measure. That is another spiritual law that the wealthiest families never forgot. And if you want the full system, if you want the prayers, the practices, the deeper teachings that go beyond what I can share in one video, go to the website on your screen right now and get the free guide, The 3 Jewish Secrets of Prosperity. It is my gift to you. It is the culmination of 60 years of study. It is the wisdom that changed my life and the lives of hundreds of families I have taught. And it is yours free right now. Let me leave you with this. You are not poor. You have been taught to feel poor. You have been conditioned to measure wealth in ways that guarantee you will always feel lacking. But the truth, the ancient truth, the truth that survived empires and exiles and destructions, is that wealth begins with seeing, with recognizing, with honoring. You have salt, you have rest, you have connection, you have the 3 signs. Stop looking past them. Stop dismissing them. Stop waiting for something bigger, something shiny, or something more impressive to prove to you that you are okay. You are already standing on the foundation that the richest families in history stood on. The only question is whether you will see it and treat it accordingly. This week, do the practices. Hold the salt. Honor the bed. Acknowledge the greeting. 7 days. That is all I am asking. 7 days of intentional recognition. And watch what happens. Watch how your mind shifts. Watch how your decisions change. Watch how opportunities you could not see before suddenly become visible. Not because the opportunities were not there, because you were not awake enough to see them. May the wisdom of the ages be upon you. May your eyes be opened to the wealth that surrounds you. May you walk in the knowledge that you are not forgotten, not abandoned, not left behind. You are seen. You are valued. You are standing on sacred ground. Recognize it, honor it, and watch it multiply. Shalom, my friend. It is written. It is done.